Well, it's day 7 of World's Group Stage with coverage presented by U.GG. I'm joined by Doublelift after his victory against EDG, but unfortunately Team Liquid's inability to make it out of groups this year. Doublelift, I saw you on screen just a second ago doing the interview with Shocks. It seems like this year the loss is pretty hard.
Yeah, every year it really sucks. Mm, this year it sucked the most because coming into groups I felt like we were gonna be really good, and I mean obviously you come into every single match thinking that of course you can win if you just play your game and you don't make mistakes and you capitalize on the right chances, then you can win. But like this time I was like really sure that this team was gonna go far. Um, and it's like it kind of reminds me actually of season 6 when people were like saying that if TSM doesn't make semis, then that's a failure, because we're looking so good and so dominant. But yeah, this time I don't know. It just sucks because I feel like our team, we're just like really different people. We don't we don't like have the same perspective on pretty much anything, but we like bonded throughout the year through really hard times and through like just really rigorous practice. I guess the most practice I've ever done in a year for sure. And our coaches put us to a really high expectation and everything, and like it just feels bad because at the end of the year, like what do we have to show for it? Just I guess 2 more domestic titles. It's actually really. I'm sure there are players. 99% of pro players would be like, please let me get a domestic title. But like I don't know. I've been trying at this for so long. So actually, McSmithy too. We've been trying so long, but just can't get it.
What do you think went wrong at Worlds this year?
Hmm. It's hard to say. Like it's honestly hard to say anything about what went wrong because it's just a lot of small things. I think the main thing for me that I learned from this year was not to let the stress. I hate talking about what I learned. The mistakes I made was I really was like super stressed out. Everyone on the team was, and I contributed to like a really stressful atmosphere because like I demanded perfection from my teammates, and I was really critical of myself, and I was really down on myself. And at times during practice, I was super unconfident. I didn't feel like I was like worth anything. I was like worthless player. And also at times, like I would argue with my teammates over really small stuff, like should you have warded here? Should we have ganked top or bottom? Like should we have taken this fight or should we have backed off? Like we argued over small things, and none of those things matter at all. Actually, the truth is that the better team, the team that's on the same page, wins. That's it. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, whether or not like you prove your point, whether or not you get your message across to a teammate about like something small, and yeah, I think that's it. Like I think towards the end, actually, we had this really inspiring day right after Cloud9 busted out of groups, um, and we were like, dude, if they can do it, we can do it. We're better than them. So we talked to each other about like really just like let it all out. Just everyone on the team let it all out, and everyone on the team had all this stuff pent up. And it felt like no one on the team really trusted each other because we were constantly bickering over like, oh, like X team, RNG plays this, RNG does this, KT does this. Like, why don't we do that? Like, why? Like, or we're not as good as them. We need to improve at that. And like, we never really. I don't know. I guess we just never really came together until the very end. And I think we played better today because we did come together. But I guess it's just like too little, too late. We should have won one of the games against KT probably.
I mean, what was different about that EDG game? Because I watched you. I was sitting in the audience, just sort of stunned after the EDG KT game, and knew that you had watched basically the chances slip away from you, and then you immediately walked out on stage and had to play. And for me, my expectation was like this would be something that would be impossible for you guys to win. You managed to win it. So what happened in that game? Was it just like the weight off your shoulders, and you guys could play how you wanted? That's what some people have been speculating.
No, um, I don't think it was anything to do with the weight off our shoulders. I think it was a little bit of like, yeah, this game doesn't really matter. We really wanted to end the year on a win instead of just like lights out, just full losses. But I think it was just I don't know. We could have beaten KT actually today. It was a very close game until we lost a fight and they got Baron. And I feel like that's just how it is. That's just how it is. Like the game, League of Legends right now, you lose a fight, you lose Baron, you lose the game, and it's just a game of inches. But we were just not as connected as them. Um, yeah, the EDG game though, I guess we just try to play our hearts out, but we were doing that the whole day.
How do you feel about your personal performance? Because you mentioned on the broadcast that you think fans should demand high standards or have high standards for the players that they watch and the teams that they root for. How do you feel about your performance this Worlds?
Not good. Obviously, we lost, and I feel like a lot of the games I could have had a lot more pressure early game, and even just even just stuff that the viewers can't see, like my calls. Like one of the games against KT, I called for us to start Herald, and we ended up losing the fight. And or actually, it was against EDG. We started Herald and like lost a game. It's like, well, why did Team Liquid do that? That looks really bad. And it's like, well, I called that. So there's like some stuff that I really really regret, and then there's like the small stuff as well. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I never want to like come out of a tournament and I lose and I'm like, oh, I played fine. Um, I'm actually, yeah, like I think I might have played better than previous worlds, but who cares? It's like I'm still a loser, so it doesn't really matter.
In 2016, you guys lost with TSM, and you took like a whole spring split off. Last year it was really rough for you, I know. Are you getting to a point now where you think like kind of rapidly reset for next year, and does it feel like okay, this happened next year, or what's kind of going through your mind right now as you look forward to the future?
Uh, I don't know. Every year is actually, I want to say like it's even more crushing this year, but I think in 2016 I really only took a break just because I truly felt like it would improve me as a player. Like I truly felt that if I didn't have enough perspective on what it was to be a pro player and how important that was to me by taking a step away from it, then I wouldn't give it my all in the next year or even in like the years to come after. So that's the reason why I took a break. And this time, like, I don't know, it sucks. I'm gonna be thinking about all my regrets for the next few months, but like Kane actually said it best that whether we win or lose today, um, I'm gonna come back and be the best AD in NA. Smithy's gonna come back and be the best jungler. Like Impact's gonna come back and be the best top, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're gonna win again. We're gonna go back to NA and we're just gonna stomp everyone. And hopefully, in those times when we're a strong team domestically again, we can like reflect on these experiences and be more prepared for Worlds next time.
I had to ask this question to Jensen after he made it out of groups. I have to ask it, unfortunately, to you now, not making out of groups. Do you feel like you tried hard enough? Because there are a lot of people online right now who are saying, oh, the NA teams don't try hard enough, they don't practice enough, they play other games, they do whatever. I mean, what would you say to the people who look at today's loss and think it was a result of that?
I think people will try to find whatever excuse or whatever reason they can to like justify, not even justify, to explain why the team that they were watching or the team that they don't care for, maybe even the team they cheer for, like wasn't good enough. But yeah, I mean, I can honestly say that I tried my absolute best, and that while I did spend time playing other games over the like maybe probably over the past like 2 months, it was not even close to whatever. I don't even know why I'm referencing Dom's tweet, but whatever Dom's tweet was, I'm sure there was a player that did that, but none of the high caliber teams like at Worlds were doing that kind of stuff. Like it's not by accident that you end up being good, and like I'm not. It sucks to say that we're good because we didn't make it out of groups again, but yeah, I think we definitely tried our absolute best, and every team does. They just 8 people make it out, 8 teams make it out, 8 teams don't.
This year, a lot of people have been watching you guys, have been rooting for Team Liquid. Is there anything that you would say to any of those folks who, saw unfortunately the loss today and the subsequent games, and then now, I don't know, watching this interview?
I think there's just no one that's as disappointed or as frustrated or as like critical as us and as me. I think maybe Team Liquid fans, they're happy that their team got to go to Worlds and finally win a trophy and stuff, but I've been trying to make it out of groups for 8 years and I can't do it. So I feel like no matter, it doesn't matter like if you criticize your favorite team online and you say like, wow, I can't believe they did this, it was so stupid. Like, that you are totally like in the right to do that. Like, you should criticize your favorite teams, your favorite players, and tell them they played like shit when they did. Um, but like the thing is that no one knows it more than the player. Like, no one's delusional enough to think that like, oh, I played super well, but they actually were sucking. Everyone knows, and yeah, like I think our fans are usually really supportive. Actually, they're very kind. A lot more nice overall to the team than like TSM fans, for example, and CLG fans for sure. But it sucks. Like, I know it's a really heartbreaking. It is for us too.
Well, thank you so much for the interview, Peter. Looking forward to seeing what the off season has in store for you and next year. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things Worlds right here on my YouTube channel. Hey all, this is normally where I would do an outro where I plug U.GG, our sponsor, in some sort of funny way. Given that it's a more somber interview, I just thought I'd mention that they supported our coverage of this event and that there's a link in the description if you want to check them out. I do really appreciate that, and as much as I prefer to tell happy winning stories, sometimes you have to tell stories like this, and I wouldn't be able to get this type of interview if it wasn't for their support in sending us here. So anyway, thanks to U.GG. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you continue to enjoy the World's coverage that's coming to this channel. Thanks.